Have you ever felt like people only realized your value after it was too late? Well, they're feeling it now, and they're feeling deceived by God for not seeing you when they had the chance. You, the chosen one, have always been more than they could understand, more than they dared to acknowledge. Now they sit in the shadow of their own regret, haunted by the question of why they ignored your brilliance. You are the blinding sun they failed to notice while they squinted at distant stars, their eyes too fixed on lesser lights to see the brilliance right in front of them. Now, as the shadows grow long and their vision sharpens with regret, they feel deceived by the very heavens they trusted. They ask themselves why they couldn't see your true value when you stood within arm's reach. Their minds, once so certain, now turn like hurricanes of remorse, battering them with questions they cannot answer. The past haunts them like a thunderclap that never ends, a constant reminder of what they overlooked. Their thoughts crash in waves of, "I could have, I should have," knowing full well the chances they squandered, the moments they dismissed. Their regret gnaws at them, relentless as a wild river carving through stone, leaving deep scars where pride once stood. They yearn for a chance to rewrite history, to go back to the crossroads where they turned their backs on you. But time is unforgiving, and their guilt is a weight that will not lift. It's as though the divine itself has betrayed them, weaving a veil over their eyes that they now claw at, desperate to tear away. They feel forsaken, as if some cosmic joke was played on them, hiding you in plain sight while they chased illusions. Their hearts, once so sure in their choices, now falter, heavy with the realization that they missed the one thing that truly mattered. In their minds, the past replays like a broken reel, the same missed opportunities looping endlessly, suffocating them with regret. They long to undo what's been done, but the doors they slammed shut behind them are sealed, and now they stand in the aftermath of their own blindness. There is a tremor shaking the very ground beneath them, a shift in the collective that they can no longer ignore. Those who once looked down on you, whose whispers and judgments hung like heavy fog, are now choking on the weight of their own words. You were the subject of their scrutiny, dissected piece by piece in conversations that lingered long after you left the room. They questioned your stability, mocked your potential, dismissing you as though you were a fleeting cloud. But now, as the atmosphere crackles with an undeniable energy, they are forced to face the reckoning of their own short-sightedness. The air around them is thick with the consequences of their actions, a suffocating realization that everything they once believed about you has shifted. They watch, helpless, as the very foundation of their understanding crumbles. Where they saw instability, there is now an unshakable force. Where they doubted your potential, they now witness an unstoppable momentum that leaves them reeling. It's as if the universe has reversed the current, and they are drowning in the wake of their own arrogance. They thought they had you figured out, placed neatly into the boxes they designed for people like you. But those boxes have been shattered, and you stand far beyond the limits of their narrow perceptions, a storm they never saw coming. Now, their words have turned into chains that bind them, holding them in place as the shift unfolds. They feel the massive weight of change bearing down on them, the harsh truth that they were wrong about you, dragging them deeper into the abyss of their own regrets. You are the force they cannot stop, and they are left gasping in the void you've left behind, wondering how they could have been so blind to your rise. They thrived in the illusion of control, keeping you beneath them as if their power depended on your submission. They wore false masks of kindness, pretending to help you rise, all while ensuring you remained beneath their shadow. It was a delicate game of manipulation, where every move they made was designed to keep you questioning your worth. They positioned themselves as the ones holding the key to your potential, yet the door was never meant to open. Every kind word was laced with the subtle venom of control, and every offer of help came with invisible chains designed to keep you small. Friends, family, even lovers, they all played their part in this quiet domination. They whispered doubts into your ears, casting you as the one who needed them, as if your future was tethered to their approval. You were told that without their guidance, you would falter, that without their wisdom you would fail. They savored the power they held, feeding off your uncertainty while disguising their dominance as care. Every action, every word was a calculated move to maintain an uneven power dynamic, a web spun around you so skillfully that you almost believed their lies. But the truth was always simmering beneath the surface. They feared what you would become without their grasp, terrified of the moment you would see through the facade and break free. They knew, deep down, that their control over you was the only thing keeping them in their false thrones. They couldn't afford to let you grow, for your growth meant their downfall. And so they did everything they could to stunt you, to keep you doubting, to make you feel as though you would never amount to anything without them. Their control was fragile, and they knew it, yet they clung to it with desperate hands, fearful of the day you would rise above their reach. Your generosity was a fire they thought they could contain. You gave freely, with an open heart, and they took without hesitation, mistaking your kindness for something they could manipulate. To them, your sensitivity was a weakness, a flaw they could exploit. They believed you were incomplete, dependent on their approval, as if your worth hinged on their validation. They fed on your giving nature, siphoning your energy as though it was theirs to consume, all while pretending you needed them to survive. They saw your willingness to help as a sign of your inferiority, a resource they could drain while maintaining their illusion of superiority. But they miscalculated. They believed their parasitic hold on you was permanent, that you would always be there, providing without question. What they failed to see was that your generosity was not weakness, but strength. It was never about needing them. It was about your innate ability to give, to nurture. They mistook your compassion for fragility, not realizing that beneath the softness was a core of steel they could never break. Now, as you rise beyond their reach, they are struck by the realization that they misunderstood everything. Their greed, their exploitation, all those moments when they took advantage of your kindness, have come back to haunt them. They see you now, unchained, transformed into something far greater than they could ever have imagined. And in their own reflection, they see their pettiness, their smallness, exposed by the vastness of your spirit. They cannot unsee what you've become. Your generosity, which they sought to exploit, has become their torment. For now, they realize that it was never about them. It was always about you. And in their emptiness, as they watch you rise, they are left to reckon with the truth that their actions only revealed their own limitations, while you soar far beyond their grasp. If this sounds too horrible to be true, that's because it is. Believe us, we know. But here's the truth. You're not alone in this. There are others just like you who feel the raw power of earth, sea, and sky pulsing through their very being, who see beyond the lies and rise above the mediocrity of those who could never touch their greatness. How would you like to connect with them? And with us, the creators behind Obsidian. That's why you need to be in the Obsidian Inner Order, a sanctuary for the truly powerful, for those who are done playing small and are ready to embrace their true, unstoppable nature. This isn't just another group. It's a powerhouse of elite souls who know exactly what they're worth. In the Inner Order, you're not just joining a program. You're stepping into your destiny alongside others who refuse to bow down to the lies and limitations of this world. You're connecting with the creators of Obsidian, while learning all that we have to offer, your own personal Hogwarts school of witchcraft and wizardry, but exclusively for the chosen ones. Included in your Watcher level membership are the preview chapters of Modern Manifestation Mechanics. The second chapter has just dropped, so you'll dive into how to rearrange your life to attract prosperity energy overnight, and to energize your intentions with words as literal spells. The link to our Patreon is in the description. Don't just watch others rise while you wait on the sidelines. This is your invitation to step into the circle, to connect, to dominate, and to claim your rightful place among the elite. Let's rise together, where only the truly chosen belong, and let's show the world exactly what real power looks like. You are stepping into your purpose, and the ground beneath them is trembling. Those who once dismissed you, who thought you were small and insignificant, now stand frozen, watching a force they never expected. Your rise is not gentle. It is a storm they cannot predict, a surge of power that leaves them unmoored. They underestimated you, convinced that your silence meant submission, that your struggles defined your limits. But now, they are witnesses to something they never saw coming, the emergence of your true self, radiant and unbound. Their regret clings to them like chains, heavy and cold. The memories of how they treated you, the dismissive words, the belittling gestures, they haunt them now. They see you standing in a place they never thought you'd reach, and the weight of their mistakes presses down, suffocating. They can no longer ignore the truth staring back at them. You are not the person they thought you were, and the version of you they once knew is gone. They are desperate to rewrite their actions, but the past is an unforgiving phantom that follows them, leaving them adrift in the wreckage of their choices. And now, they are paralyzed, unsure of how to re-enter your life. The person they once knew has transformed into something they don't know how to approach. The old dynamics have shattered. The rules they relied on are no longer valid. You are no longer reachable by the methods they once used to keep you close, to keep you small. They feel the chasm between who you were and who you've become, and they can't bridge it. They don't know how to face the new version of you, the one who no longer waits for their approval, no longer seeks their validation. Your rise has left them stranded, and they stand on the edges of your life, powerless, watching as you ascend. They sense it now, your untouchable nature, your heightened awareness, and the impenetrable walls you've built around your spirit. Those who once thrived on manipulating you, twisting your generosity to their advantage, are scrambling. Their old tactics have crumbled in their hands, like sand slipping through clenched fists. They know you've outgrown the games they once played with ease, and now they watch you from a distance, calculating, plotting, desperate to regain a foothold in your world. Their minds are racing, weaving new strategies, because the old ways no longer serve them. They understand that they can no longer exploit your kindness. You have become something they cannot predict, cannot control. Where you once gave without hesitation, they now encounter a fortress of discernment, and it terrifies them. They seek cracks in your defenses, a weakness they can press upon, but you've sealed every vulnerability. They're left with no choice but to resort to manipulation. But even in that, they falter, unsure of where to begin. Their approach is no longer casual or careless. Every word, every gesture is a calculated move, a desperate attempt to find a way back in. They rehearse their intentions, crafting them with precision, but nothing sticks. Their manipulation is hollow, a fading echo of the control they once held. They know you see through it now, see through them, and the realization leaves them grasping for new tactics. They can't bear the loss of power they once wielded over you, but every effort to reclaim it only reveals their desperation. You've ascended beyond their reach, and they feel it in every failed attempt to manipulate you. They know they no longer have access to the person you once were. You are untouchable now, and the games they relied on have turned into feeble acts of futility. You see them for what they are, and their attempts to reconnect only serve to expose the depths of their weakness. Through every trial, you've been forged in the fire of experience, tempered by pain and loss. What was once raw and vulnerable within you has been purified, burned clean by the heat of adversity. Every hardship you faced stripped away the unnecessary, leaving behind something sharper, more precise, more powerful. You've been transformed into a force that no longer bends under the weight of others' expectations. You no longer scatter your energy for the sake of appeasing those who couldn't see your brilliance. Instead, you've reserved yourself for what you truly deserve, holding your essence back from those who never understood its value. Now, in this state of refinement, you align perfectly with your purpose. The chaos that once swirled around you has settled, revealing a clear path forward. Those who couldn't recognize your worth, who doubted, dismissed, or tried to diminish you, are being left behind. Their voices grow distant, their influence wanes as you move further from the shadows they tried to cast over you. You are no longer tethered to their judgments, and the gravity of their opinions no longer pulls at your soul. Your transformation is undeniable. You stand in the fullness of who you were meant to become, no longer diluted by the distractions of those who once sought to hold you back. They watch from the sidelines now, confused and bewildered, unable to grasp the magnitude of what you've become. They can't follow you where you're going because their vision was always too small, too narrow, to comprehend the vastness of your potential. You've purified yourself through experience, and in that purification, you've found clarity. You are aligned with forces they can't begin to understand, and their presence in your life fades like smoke, dissipating as you rise into the fullness of your purpose, untouchable and resolute. They cling to their selfishness like a lifeline, unwilling to confront the truth. Instead of taking accountability for their actions, they twist the narrative, questioning why the universe didn't reveal your value sooner, as if the fault lies outside themselves. Their minds are consumed by a toxic self-interest, refusing to acknowledge their role in overlooking you. Rather than face the mirror of their own failures, they seek to shift the blame, convinced that it was divine oversight that kept them blind to your worth, not their own arrogance. Even now, after witnessing your transformation, they still believe they are entitled to you. They watch your rise with a sense of entitlement, certain that they deserve to stand beside you without ever doing the work to earn that right. Their selfishness has not faded, it has grown, twisting into a desperate belief that you owe them something. They think they can waltz back into your life unchanged, as though you will hand over what they once took for granted. But they are mistaken, caught in the same loop of delusion that kept them from seeing your value all along. Their lack of accountability is a poison coursing through every thought, every action. Instead of admitting that they failed to appreciate you when it mattered, they play the victim, questioning why fate didn't show them the path sooner. They refuse to acknowledge that they were never meant to see it, that their vision was clouded by their own selfishness. And now, as they stand on the outside looking in, they still cannot grasp that you are beyond their reach. They never understood the work it takes to deserve a place in your life. And now, they are left with nothing but their hollow sense of entitlement, watching as you move beyond them, untouched and unbothered by their absence. As you ascend, the very ground beneath their feet crumbles. The ones who once looked down on you, basking in their false sense of superiority, are now reeling from a reversal of fortune they never saw coming. They had built their thrones on the fragile sand of manipulation, convinced that their power over you was permanent. But now, as you rise beyond their reach, the illusions they constructed have shattered. Their actions, once cloaked in deceit, have turned against them, and they are left questioning everything, wondering why their schemes no longer yield results, why the universe now seems to turn against them. They find themselves wrestling with questions they once thought beneath them, questioning their connection to God, to fate, to whatever force they once believed justified their actions. They are left confused, unable to grasp why their manipulations, once so effective, so precise, no longer work. The strings they once pulled so easily now dangle uselessly, as if cut by an unseen hand. Their control has slipped, and they are left grappling with the reality that they were never in control to begin with. Meanwhile, your path is unmistakably clear. You walk with the force of justice at your back, unburdened by their schemes, untouched by their judgment. Every step you take is a step toward your rightful elevation, and they can only watch from the shadows as you rise. Their downfall is the inevitable consequence of their arrogance, and the longer they cling to their old ways, the deeper they sink into irrelevance. You've left them behind, stuck in the mire of their own undoing, while you continue to ascend, free from the weight of their manipulations. This is the justice they never anticipated, not the sudden strike of vengeance, but the slow, inevitable collapse of everything they built on falsehood. Your rise is their reckoning, and while you thrive, they are left to wonder why their world has turned against them. You've always been a force, a quiet but undeniable presence in the lives of those around you, though they often failed to acknowledge it. They moved through their days, convinced of their superiority, believing they could diminish your light without consequence. But now, the fog has lifted. The illusions they clung to so desperately have evaporated, and the truth stands stark before them. The order is being restored, and the power they once thought they wielded over you has turned on them. The same hands that sought to hold you down now tremble under the weight of their own undoing. Justice, long delayed but never forgotten, has arrived, and it does not ask for permission. Those who once reveled in humbling you are now being humbled by forces beyond their control. The same plates of bitterness and dismissal they tried to serve you are now set before them, and they must eat every morsel. They are tasting the bitterness they once fed you, and it burns in their mouths as they try to swallow the consequences of their arrogance. What they never understood was that your influence was not something they could take away. It was woven into the very fabric of who you are, a force they could neither grasp nor destroy. Now, as the smoke clears, your place in the world shines with clarity, undeniable and unshakable. You are not just rising, you are reclaiming what was always yours. And those who tried to diminish you, to make you small, are left with the realization that they were never the giants they pretended to be. They stand now, humbled in the shadow of your influence, as the justice they thought would never come rains down on them. You are untouched by their chaos, standing tall while they reckon with the reality they tried so hard to deny. The balance has been restored, and you, the one they tried to humble, are watching as their world collapses under the weight of their own misguided pride. You are rising, and nothing can stop the unfolding of justice in your favor. The influence you've always had is no longer hidden. It's undeniable and felt by those who once tried to diminish you. They are now facing the consequences of their actions, as the balance they tried so hard to control has tipped back toward you. Your strength, your value, your voice, everything they failed to acknowledge, stands unshaken. And now, as they wrestle with their regret, you stand fully in your power, untouched by their schemes. Justice is no longer a distant hope. It is here, manifesting in every moment that you stand tall, every time you step into the fullness of who you are. They see it now, but it's too late for them to rewrite their story. They are left to deal with the weight of their miscalculations while you rise above, clear-eyed and resolute. Your story holds power. Share it. Let the world know how far you've come, how justice has unfolded for you. You are not alone in this rise. Others need to hear your truth, to witness what happens when those who underestimated you are forced to confront their own undoing. If you seek deeper insights or spiritual guidance, know that you can connect directly with me for personalized readings and guidance on how to continue harnessing this energy in your favor. And if you're ready to elevate your manifesting skills, access modern manifestation mechanics through the Obsidian Inner Order, available via the link in the description. This guide will give you the tools to attract prosperity and shape your reality like never before. Be cautious though, as there are many who seek to take advantage of your rise, scammers who will try to imitate this message. Always ensure that you are connecting with me directly and let no one deceive you. Your path is clear, your influence is growing, and those who are meant to support you will be drawn to your light. Share your story, because it is through your voice that the truth of your power is made known.